Hi, welcome to Shark Sketches. We are going to go ahead and get started. My name is Ipsita, and I am a public programs intern for UGA Marine Extension and Georgia Sea Grant. We conduct research, education, and outreach for healthy coastal ecosystems and communities. And so at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Kayla to start the program.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ipsita, and welcome everyone. I am super excited because this is one of my favorite topics ever. I love sharks. I hope that you do too, or that you do by the end of this program. I do want to give you just a moment to gather some art supplies. We are going to do some sketching a little bit later in the program. So if you have some paper and a pencil or pen, you can go ahead and grab that now. And if you don't want to sketch, that's cool too. If you don't want to sketch, you can type in the chat box while you're waiting. What are some of the words that come to mind when you think of a shark? So what are some of the words, any words, adjectives, whatever pops into your head, you can put that in the chat box and we'll make a word cloud based on what you all come up with.
We did have a question. So what do our participants do if they don't have paper on hand with them?
Great question. So you can just observe and kind of maybe think about what you might want to draw in the future. And then we actually have a whole bunch of prompts that you can use to draw sharks after the program as well. We'll put that in the chat box towards the end of the program. And you can also give us feedback along the way in the chat box of what we might put on our drawing here. So Ipsita's going to spotlight my drawing over here. And I wanted to start by seeing what some of the words are that you all think of when you think of sharks. Did anyone have anything in the chat box?
Yeah, so we had people say scary, fast, teeth, powerful, strong, cool, gills, and mean.
Awesome. So those are great, a great way to get us thinking about kind of what we think about when we think about sharks, because they're an animal that oftentimes inspires a lot of interest, maybe some fear. So always good to check in and see like what we think about when we start, and maybe we'll revisit this at the end and see if there's any words that we might want to add to our word cloud at the end. I'm going to come back over to my other video so that you can see some examples. But a lot of times when people think of sharks, the first thing that pops into their mind is a species like the great white shark, or ones that are in general big or have big teeth. So I'm going to show a couple of artifacts that are shark jaws, and I want to be very careful with them because they are fragile. So give me just a moment while I gather these. This is from a lemon shark, and you can see its jaw is bigger than my head is. And I'll see if I can put it up close to the webcam so you can see the shape of those teeth. So this is, I think a lot of times what people typically think about for sharks. Big jaw, really good at chasing down fish and other prey. One more jaw, this one's even bigger. So give me one moment to get it. So this one was borrowed from Ann Lindsay, who's our director here at the UGA Aquarium. And this is actually a tiger shark. Look at how huge that is. And what's really cool is if you look up close at the teeth, they actually have two different kinds of teeth. So do you see how these ones are facing in? Those are the holding teeth. And then the ones on top, it may not get into focus too much for us, but if you could look up close, you would see that they're kind of a saw-like teeth. But there's actually a lot of variety in terms of shark species and what their body plans are and what they do and what they eat. And I used to be a little bit scared of sharks. And the first time that I got to swim and dive with them, I just thought they were the most just absolutely fascinating creatures, really beautiful fish, and fill a really important ecological role. So I want to introduce you to a few of the really various types of sharks that are out there. So we'll do that by reading a story, and then we'll do some sketches together, and then we'll meet a few of the live rays that we have in the aquarium. So rays are not sharks, but they're very similar. So both sharks and rays are called cartilaginous fish. So if you wriggle your nose or pull on your ears, those are both parts of our body that have cartilage. So that's what creates their skeleton rather than bone. So a lot of other fish are bony fish. If you feel like your knuckle bones or your knees or your elbows, all that hard part is bone inside of us. So that's one big difference between us and sharks and rays. So the main character in our story, one of my favorite species of rays called the white-spotted eagle ray. We will also meet an Atlantic stingray, slightly smaller species of ray, but also one that's found here in Georgia. Here at the aquarium, we might meet a skate. And skates look really similar to rays. They've got these lobed fins, though, at the back, which gives us a clue that it's a skate. And they also have these fins at the end of the tail. And I'm showing you the puppet because our skate is so good at camouflaging that we'll look for her in the tank, but she might be buried down in the sand. And also in our story will be a bonnethead. So we have a bonnethead puppet. This is pretty close. This is a hammerhead, which is in the same family or same group as bonnetheads are. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hello, my name is Ramona, the spotted eagle ray. Through the water I can fly, with spotted wings so hard to spy. Swim with me through the sea. Along the way, help me search and look for fishy friends to draw in a sketchbook. How many of you all like to draw? You're going to shake your head yes or no at home if you do. Are you a spotted eagle ray as well? Meeting you is pretty swell. No, not me. I am spotted, but my gills are on the side, you see. I'm a whale shark. In fact, I am the world's biggest fish. Tiny plankton fills my dinner dish. So in this drawing, that blue shark on the top, that's a whale shark. And what she was saying about her gills being on the side is one of the ways that you can tell the difference between a shark and a ray. So sharks are going to have their gills on the side of their body, whereas rays are going to have them on the bottom. And typically, rays tend to be a little bit more flattened, like a pancake as well. But they are both cartilaginous fish. And if anyone has ever seen a plankton, they're really small. So even though whale sharks can get up to 40 feet long, they eat tiny, tiny microscopic organisms. And so they filter feed. They suck in lots of water and they filter out what they want to eat and then get rid of the rest of the water. It's a very cool animal. Are you a spotted eagle ray? You look pretty gray and have a tail that stings, but you also have fins that look like wings. Nice to meet you. I'm a ray, it's true, but I'm an Atlantic stingray through and through. At the surface, I see you twist and soar, but I prefer to swim along the sea floor. So if you can see in that bottom picture is the Atlantic stingray, and they're benthic animals. So that means they live on the bottom. So they're swimming along the sea floor, and they're really well adapted to live on the bottom. Whereas the eagle rays are what are called pelagic, or basically they're moving through the water column. They're swimming a little bit higher up in the ocean or in the tidal rivers. And here in Georgia, one of my favorite things to see is that sometimes the spotted eagle rays will actually jump out of the water and you'll see them come up and make a big splash. Kind of hard with our murky water to see them under the water, but we do sometimes see them jump up. And all that murkiness in the water, some of that is actually plankton, some green and some brown colors coming from that really nutritious plankton that a lot of animals eat. You're gray, but definitely not a ray. You must be a shark. Are you a great white? Yes, you got my name right. I swim far and wide offshore, inspiring legend and much folklore. And there's actually, if you go to the OSearch webpage, they actually have a place where you can track great whites in the Atlantic, including ones that swim by Georgia, but pretty far offshore, not where you would be inshore. Hi there. You look like a shark, but your head is so flat. What's up with that? You are right. My head is certainly a sight. I'm Fred the bonnet head. I'm on my way to lunch. Crabs are my favorite to crunch and munch. My flat head comes in handy to search for prey where it's sandy. And even in the murky, muddy dark, my electro sensors help me find the mark. So if you can see on this picture, the bonnet heads, they're related to hammerheads. And they're a shark that has a really unique head shape. And that actually helps them find their food, which, as you heard from Fred the bonnet head, are crabs, They can also eat snails, but things that are along the bottom and are kind of crunchy. So they're going to have kind of crushing plates rather than sharp teeth to eat. And this is one that we also get in Georgia. They don't get very big. So usually they're only about 3 to 3.5 feet long. The largest ones might get up to 4 feet, but those are really only the females that'll get that big, a mature female. Thanks for swimming along in the sea where I belong. But as a human, you must land back upon the dry beach sand. Enjoy sketching me and all the fish you see. And if you want to draw some more, there are shark and rays galore. 400 sharks, 600 ray species, swimming in the world's seas. So we only met just a very few number of the species of sharks and rays in the world. But if you enjoyed drawing, I definitely encourage you to go out and look for different sharks and rays, or do look in books or find pictures of them and do sketches of them, because oftentimes when we draw, it helps us observe different features of an animal. So we like to do a lot of nature journaling here at the aquarium, and so we're going to practice some of our sketching today. Give me just one moment to get transitioned over to our drawing board. But while I do that, go ahead and think about what shark we should draw first. Okay, Ipsika, did anyone put in the chat box a shark or a ray from our story that they want to sketch together?
Yes, but we did have a question. Can they use crayons to draw?
Yes, absolutely. So you might have noticed that I used a lot of different types of drawing materials in those sketches. So some were crayon, some were chalk, some were just pencil. So whatever you want to draw with, you can really draw anything. And actually in our activity sheet, we even have some examples of like drawing with spaghetti sauce or drawing in the sand. So you can get as creative as you want, absolutely.
Awesome. So we had a lot of people respond that they wanted you to draw a great white shark.
Okay. So while I'm drawing, help me remember, what are some of the features that our great white needs to include? So some of the parts of the body that a great white has.
We had responses come in for fins, gills, and especially the tail fin.
Yes, so this tail fin is called the caudal fin. And that's where all the power comes from. Not all the power, but a lot of the power when they're swimming. So they'll swish that tail back and forth. They also have a dorsal fin. They've got pectoral fins. And then I really like that someone said the gills. Can anyone remember, this is a shark, not a ray. So what part of its body should the gills go?
We had many people respond on the side.
Yes, absolutely. So all sharks are going to have at least 5 visible gill slits, which is a little different than bony fish. Bony fish have what's called an operculum, and it just kind of looks like a half moon behind the eye, and then the gills are hiding underneath there. Yeah, so we've got our gills. How does this animal see? What do we need to give it in order to have some sensory organs on the face? And what does it need to eat with?
We had people respond a snout, teeth, and a mouth, and then to see it would need eyes.
Yes, absolutely. So even though sharks and rays are pretty different from us, they do still have some of the very similar features that we do as well. So like eyes and mouths, so things that help them function in the world. Awesome. I think we have time for one more. What's another shark or a ray that people would like to draw together? And while you're taking suggestions, I'm going to draw us a whale shark. And does anyone remember what pattern the whale shark had?
Yeah, we had people respond that the whale shark has spots.
Yes, absolutely. And what's so cool is that each individual whale shark has its own spot pattern. So there are citizen science projects where people can take photos of whale sharks if they see them in the wild, as long as they're, a safe distance and following best practices for being in the water with them. But then they can actually take those photographs and they can match up which unique animal it is based on its spots. Kind of like if right now at home, go ahead and look at your finger up close, or maybe your thumb. And do you see all those lines on there? That's what we call a fingerprint. So our fingerprints are unique to us, just like the spot pattern is unique for the whale shark. And I got a chance to swim with one of these last summer at the Vermilion Sea Institute field station. And let me tell you, they are just magnificent. This huge animal that's so gentle and is filter feeding. We could actually see the gills, which are right behind the eyes. We could actually see those gills pumping in and out as they were flowing water through their mouth to eat the plankton. We'll give our whale shark some plankton to eat so it's not hungry. Does anyone know any other filter feeding animals that might eat plankton that live in Georgia? If you do, you can add them in the chat box.
We had people respond with shrimp and oysters.
Yes, absolutely. Those are two great ones. Anchovies and some fish will also do it as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now that we've done some sketching together on the whiteboard, is if you have pencil and paper at home, I'm going to show some live elasmobranchs. So those are those cartilaginous fishes, so the rays, which are related to the sharks. And if you're at home, you can sketch what you're seeing. And this is similar to a field sketch. So they're going to be moving around. So it's a little bit more difficult than sketching off of a photograph. So don't worry about getting all the details right. But when I'm doing a field sketch, a lot of times I'm interested in the animal's behavior or generally information about, sorry, our marker is out of ink. So let's say we're looking at the Atlantic stingray. Don't worry too much about the details, but maybe you're just drawing the general shape and then it's moving over here. And maybe it's then swimming away. And if you can write, or if you have an adult that can write with you, you might jot down some notes about the behavior or colors. So I might jot down that it's gray. Maybe it's along the bottom. It's moving or holding still. So all of those are things that you might jot on your field sketches. You might not be able to read my handwriting, but hopefully you get the idea. So Ipsita's going to go ahead and pull up a poll about some of the features that we might see on the Atlantic stingray while I go ahead and switch my camera over.
So you've just seen a poll pop up. Where is the mouth on an Atlantic stingray? Is it on the bottom, the top, the front, or the back? And we have most of our responses are in. So I'm going to end the poll in a few seconds. So if you still have to respond, just take a guess. And so I'm going to end the poll now. And it looks like you all... Actually, we'll find out. Kayla will tell us, but everyone guessed the bottom. So, Kayla, can you tell us, where's the mouth on an Atlantic stingray?
So, I actually see two live Atlantic stingrays swimming towards us. So we'll see if they'll swim up against the glass so we can get a really good look at its mouth. But these are going to be benthic organisms or benthic animals that are living along the bottom. So they're going to be, perfect. Maybe thinking about coming up where we can see its mouth. The mouth is going to be on the bottom. So right there. Oh, that's awesome that it is cooperating with us. And right below the mouth were the gills. So if you saw those slits or the things that looked like lines, and you can really see, so its fins are modified, and you can see them moving, which is really cool. They move very differently than some other fish do. Oh, and that's a nice up-close view. Halfway down the tail is where the barb is, or the stinger. It's actually not the whole tail that stings, but just that small barb that's part of there. Any questions or observations from the audience about this animal? Oh, here comes another one. So right behind the eyes, that dark circle that you're seeing is called the spiracle, and it's going to pull water in and down over their gills because their gills are on the bottom of their body. So if you're at home and you're sketching, again, don't worry about details, but you might draw the tank and put X's where you're seeing the animal swimming. And if you don't have sketch paper, that's okay too. You can just kind of think about what things that you might sketch from memory later on. These are not going to get as big as something like a spotted eagle ray. They're going to usually be about 2.5 feet at the largest. And if you're swimming on Georgia beaches or elsewhere in the southeast, it's always a good idea to do the stingray shuffle if you're getting into the water, because they're only really going to use that stinger for protection if they're startled. So if you're shuffling your feet, that'll let the animal know that you're coming, and they will usually try and get away, kind of like it tried to get away from the fish just there.
Kayla, we did have a couple of questions come in. So the first is, does it sting or bite?
Great question. So it will use that venomous barb as a sting for protection. It will bite its prey, but it doesn't have sharp teeth like the teeth that we saw in the beginning of the program. They more have crushing plates, and so they use that to crunch down on things like clams, so things that are in a shell. Any other questions or observations about the stingrays before we move on?
Yeah, so we had a couple of people ask, what are the spots or the line on its back?
That is a great question and great observation. So that's actually where its spine is. So if you all feel in the middle of your back, that bony part that you're feeling is your spine. So that makes us vertebrates. And that's the same for all fish, including sharks and rays. And then rays, along that spine, they actually have some spiny projections or little spines that also serve as protection. But those ones aren't venomous. They're mostly just kind of pointy, more of a physical protection. All right. Well, I could stay and watch these stingrays all day, but since we only have a few minutes left of the program, I want to show you a few other animals that we have here. The next type that we're going to is an animal called a guitar fish, and it is really good at camouflaging. I found it. It'll be a little hard to see because it's right up against the glass. But do you all see right along the bottom there? So it's kind of in between a shark and a ray. But we'll move on since it's kind of in a position that's hard to see, but definitely a cool animal to look at. And all of these tanks represent habitats that you might find near your coastal Georgia. So this would be similar to a tidal river or an estuary or freshwater water. Similar to the guitar fish, this is also low camouflage. I'll give you just a few seconds to look closely and see if you can find it.
Kayla, it's becoming a little hard to hear you now.
Thank you, Ipsita, for letting us know.
Yep.
Thank you to the audience for your patience as we have just gotten the helmets that we're excited about. Our skate was pretty well hidden as well. You couldn't really see it very well. So we'll come back to the stingrays for one last view. If anyone started a sketch, this would be a good time to add any final details. And for field sketches, sometimes I might just use pencil and paper, but I might note down what colors there were so that when I get home, I can add that in with color, with crayons or watercolor. You can also take pictures out in the field and then use those for reference when you get back inside. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and return to my computer unless there's any last questions. And it looks like we have 1 minute left, so we do have time, if you're at home, to end the program with a song. And I am not very good at carrying a tune, so if you know this song, I encourage you to sing loudly at home. So we're going to do the Baby Shark song. But I have one modification. So the way it goes is we're going to go through a baby shark and a papa shark and a mama shark. But oftentimes when you hear it sung, they go mama shark. And then when they get to the papa shark, it's a lot bigger. But in biology, when you actually look at sharks in the wild, oftentimes the females are larger. So our mama shark is going to be a lot bigger usually than the males are. So we'll switch it around and we'll do the kind of medium-sized one is the papa, and then the big one is the mama. So here we go. Baby shark, do 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 do. Baby shark, do 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 do. Baby shark. Papa shark, do 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 do. Papa shark, do 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 do. Papa shark. Mama shark, do 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 do. Mama shark, do 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 do. Mama shark. Grandpa shark, do 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 do. Grandpa shark, do 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 do. Grandpa shark. And actually, the females even get bigger the older they get. So your grandma shark is going to be the biggest of all, and you might even stand up to even make it bigger. Grandma shark, do 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 do. Grandma shark, do 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 do. Grandma shark. Awesome. Well, we hope that you had fun this summer. We really appreciate you tuning in this whole time. This is our last program, so I am going to turn it over to Ipsita to wrap us up, but would encourage you to rejoin us in fall for more virtual programming.
So if you had fun today, then I hope you will consider checking out our YouTube page for recordings of all of our programs this summer. This is the first summer that we have done virtual programs, and your feedback is incredibly valuable for shaping what these programs look like moving forward. Please take 1 minute to fill out the survey in the chat box. The chat box will disappear when we end the meeting, so go ahead and click that link now or copy and paste into a new window so that you have it for after the meeting. We will be offering virtual fall public programs starting September 24th through November, so check back on our website in early September for a calendar of topics. This survey is your last chance to give us more topic ideas you would like to see in the fall, so thank you in advance for filling that out. I do want to give a big thank you at this time for any friends in the audience, as your donations and support help us offer educational programming this summer. And if anyone is interested in becoming a friend, the application is on our website. You can also stay connected with us after this program by attending other public programs, following us on social media, or learning about our volunteer and internship opportunities. Thank you for joining us, and see you again in the fall.